Ex-homeless Redditors, what was the scariest thing that you ever saw on the streets? NSFW. Not that scary, but one time I was on a park bench just killing time. This homeless dude that everyone called Red was at another bench. He came up to mine and asked if I would watch his shit while he slept for a bit, and I said yes. So he laid down next to me, and after a while he sat up for a cigarette. About 3 drags in, he starts coughing, and his face turned all purple fast. Never realized how fast people turn purple from lack of oxygen. He fell over on his side, and I jumped up and gave him a little smack on the back a few times, and I kept yelling at him to get up. I was hesitant to call an ambulance cause of hospital bills that he obviously wouldn't be able to pay. But right as I took my phone out to call, he had been unconscious for like 30 seconds at this point. He starts gasping and gets up. I asked him if he was okay, and all he says is ducking COPD, and then takes a drag of the cigarette that he never even dropped the whole time that happened. Blows my mind he didn't drop it, LMAO. Holy shit, I know how bad American healthcare is, but somehow something always manages to come around and smack me over the head. Imagine not calling someone an ambulance being an actual kindness due to how expensive saving their life would be. Good on you for trying to help and watching his stuff in the first place though. Deleted. Yeah, Portland is pretty bad like that. Nobody cares. A woman giving birth at a bus terminal. Was she okay? An ambulance showed up and helped her out. I didn't hang around, but it looked like they had it under control. Cold weather. I thought I was going to die one night. I was so cold. I remember waking up thinking you need to move or you are going to die. Let's see. Funny. Ash. Guy at the shelter I stayed at got stabbed in the ribs by another guy. The guy who stabbed him just walked inside and attempted to go to sleep, while the guy who stabbed is sitting on a bench literally spurting blood out of his side, and he lights a cigarette. When the staff called 911 and tried to help him, he was pushing them off saying he was fine. Horrible. There was a gas station down the street. A guy paid for gas, took the hose, and doused himself in gasoline. I was smoking outside, and I remember him walking by outside the yard area with a lighter in his hand, arm fully extended out. He was very mentally ill, so I didn't think anything of it. I couldn't smell gas or anything like that. I continue to smoke. Light another one up. About 10 minutes later I'm inside bullshitting at the front desk and a dude runs in the front door and shouts, "Give me wet towels." A guy set himself on fire across the street. Homeless shelters aren't in good areas. So I just walked out casually thinking some idiot at the apartments across the street had set a rug on fire and the dude who ran in was just being a dumbass. I walk out the front door and sure enough, on one of the stairwells there's flames. My thought process was basically, yep, some dumb ducks lit a roo. Oh duck. The rug sat up. Me and 3 other guys ended up being the ones to put him out. He wouldn't though. I don't know if the gas had to burn off first, but probably. I don't really remember putting him out. I just remember after. I don't remember a smell or anything. The morbid thing I do remember is he was out and he just kept shouting, "My balls. My balls are on fire. Put out my balls." He died 3 days later. I was told it wasn't the first time he'd done something like this. The shelter ended up sending me to therapy, and the woman was the best therapist I'd ever had. I still get weird sometimes and can't really watch people on fire in movies anymore. Edit. This happened around 2011 in Kentucky, so it's a while back now. I've been slowly putting my life together again since then. The last time I was homeless was in 2014. I'm still struggling financially, especially now, but I'm studying computer programming in my spare time, so I can hopefully get where I want to be in life. I'm sorry I can't reply to everyone individually. I know you have questions. I can try to answer them, but I don't have a blow-by-blow on my feelings at the time, and I'd rather state that outright than reply individually with bullshit. I can say that my general way of dealing with things is through sarcasm and inappropriate times humor, so I'm sure there was lots of that after it happened. But I can't say for sure. I'm not sure how to reply to the posts saying it's better off at some point just to let someone burn. I'm not sure what to say to that. Thanks for the kind words. Edit. Location added. You're a good person to help respond to a tragedy like that. It's a heavy weight to carry on your shoulders. I'm glad the shelter had the resources and follow through to get you a therapist. Hope you're doing well. Not what I saw, what I heard, if that counts. For a while I slept in an empty warehouse. I'm in the UK, so it was a huge Victorian building with about 6 floors. I slept on the 3rd or 4th floor, out of the way of casual intruders. Drunks and prostitutes used that space, and one night I heard a load of shouting and a female screaming from the ground floor. Now I was 16, a junkie and about 120 pounds, so I wasn't in any position to do much. But I crept down the steps to see what was happening. By the time I got there, the place was empty and the noise had stopped, so I went back upstairs. I found out the next day they found a body in the wasteland outside. Turns out the woman was a prostitute. They assumed her client stabbed her after a struggle, and she'd made a run for it before he caught her and finished the job. Always wonder if I'd been able to help, but I'd have probably got stabbed too. Holy shit. That's some Jack the Ripper shit. I'm sorry to hear you went through that, man. I'm glad to hear it sounds like you're doing much better now. Yeah, I'm good now, thanks. Had a few years on and off being homeless, but that was 30 years ago now. Looking back, it genuinely feels like it all happened to a different person. I was a heroin addict for 5 years and it really does feel strange to think that was me. Was homeless for a summer and an acquaintance through the party scene of the town invited me to crash on her couch. Woke up in the middle of the night to her screaming into her phone about how they are out to get her and are setting the world up for destruction. Pretended like I was still asleep and got out to there the next day real quick. Smart move leaving. Otherwise they might have targeted you too. Or worse, he might have become they. Apostrophe. Lots of stabbings and rapes. I was stalked by a gang one night on my way home from work. I still have no idea how I wasn't raped or mugged. Once I woke up suddenly to a not homeless man holding a huge knife staring at me inside the abandoned building's basement I was sleeping in. Once he noticed I was awake, he asked if I was Russian. I said no, and he said he was looking for a different girl. Gave me $20 and left. Edit. If you can read this and immediately think yes, it's the best idea to send this woman disgustingly perverse messages and ask for nudes. I hope your dicks stay flaccid for eternity. Not sure what the word is in English, but this guy could be a member of the Russian mafia/flesh market. Probably was looking for a runaway prostitute. Edit. The word bratwa. It's a specific word for a gangster that collects runaway prostitutes. I'm blue-eyed and blonde, so I'd have to deal with people thinking I was Russian way too much. Now that I'm out of that life, I still get spoken to in Russian all the time. In Korea, are you Russian was slang/code for are you a prostitute? Not typically asked knife in hand, however, at least in my experience. People who had been homeless way longer than me, trust me, there is nothing scarier on the streets than the meth couple who this has been their day in and day out for 1000s of days. People joke about meth, but unless you've been around chronic users, you don't understand how truly scary it makes people become. Like a whole new level of animalistic, impulsive, not right in the head people. I ducking hate meth. Duck meth. I know plenty of drug users that can do drugs casually for recreation. Except meth, I never met anyone that done it more than a handful of times that didn't end up crashing and burning. Lost a few people. They are not dead, but merely a meth fueled husk of their former selves. I agree, man. I was a heroin addict for 7 years and my life only truly went to shit when I started flipping meth and taking it daily. I used meth daily for 8 months or so and honestly didn't love it. It was just around, cheap, and kept me from doing more dope. It destroyed me. Quick. Before meth I had a cushy job in finance at a big firm with no one aware that I shot dope in the bathroom and was homeless, cleaning up before work. After meth I had coworkers convinced I was dying. Got taken out by an ambulance multiple times at work and wound up almost losing my job. I got off meth before I could lose it. That shit is no joke. Same with crack. I hung around with some hardened addicts and criminals and most of them would joke about how you can never trust a meth or crackhead. recipes, over a year sober today, and couldn't be more proud. Biggest thing, 5'3", 115 pounds, was how often people try to abduct you. That and how often people try to serve you tampered food. The teenagers trying to get clout by assaulting/pranking you is another one. When I was 17 I worked at a little pizzeria. Some nights we have leftover pizzas that were meant to sell by the slice. This particular night I had a full supreme and I decided to bring it home instead of throwing it away. It was raining that night. While driving home I see a homeless person under an overpass and decide to give him this whole pizza. I pull back around, explain to him that I work at a place and I wanted to give him this whole pizza. He refused to accept it and said that it probably baked cockroaches into it or something. I was pretty upset by this and it kinda ruined my desire to give for years. But you talking about people giving you tampered food made me feel like this guy had every reason to be suspicious of me. When I worked at a pizza place named for a short emperor, we had a dumpster out back where we threw out the pizzas we hadn't sold at the end of the day. This was often 10 or so pizzas. The local homeless population knew to go diving for these pizzas and there were times we would see them waiting and just hand them over. Top management wanted us to pour bleach on the pizzas before putting them in the dumpster. But the manager refused to actually do it because he wasn't a shitty person. I left within a month of that directive. It's unfortunate about the amount of waste that restaurants and grocers have that they are instructed to destroy. I was just sleeping around where other guys in my city sleep, then just see some teen stabbing one of the homeless guys multiple times. Ran away from there, never turned back. Man, there are some ducked up people out there. I hope somehow that guy survived. My buddy is a public defender. Only for 10 years, until the state pays his loans. The stories he tells will never stop surprising you. Every time we eat dinner together I always have to be reminded to close my mouth, because my jaw is always on the table in disbelief of how ducked up society is out there. Bottom line, get a public defender in your circle of friends. Your dinner parties will never be lame again. Guy I went to school with and am connected with on Facebook was a public defender. At the beginning of his career he was a big bleeding heart sort of person. 10 years later, not so much. At all. Snow. I'm a big, scary dude, so I never had trouble with people picking on me or whatever. In that sense the streets were safe to me. But seeing snow for the first time that year just made me cry and panic. It was too early for snow. I wasn't ready for that type of cold and was hoping to be on my feet again before the winter came. Beautiful thing like snow just ducked me up in so many ways. Hope things are looking better for you now. Hey, thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.